people connect with authenticity.
So is that just like probably personal development within you that made you realize that like being authentic is better than just being a stiff in sales?
Being authentic is everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Being authentic, like even in Nepal in the ashram, like the teacher Osho, he's not alive anymore, but he says it's all about being authentic. Are you authentic in your desires, in what you want? Is that just in authenticity is very important, because that's what makes us feel whole. It's what makes us feel free.
Welcome to the Painter Growth Podcast, where we help you scale your painting company in record time. Join us as we explore sales, marketing, hiring, finances, leadership, and more, everything that you need to know to scale and grow your painting business. I hope you enjoy and subscribe.
What's up, everybody? Mike Hickman here, founder of PainterGrowth.com. You're listening to the Painter Growth Podcast. And today I have a friend of the show, friend of mine, known for a lot of years, Brad Samuels. Definitely an interesting one. And I love having him here because I get lost in the conversation. And I was just telling Brad before this that I get so lost in the conversation with Brad that I don't take the notes for Claudia to make her podcast notes from. And she yells at me because of it. So Claudia, you can thank Brad for that.
It's on you, Mike.
It's on me. Welcome, man. Good to have you back. So you just came back from a 5-week trip to Nepal. And then you were in Mexico doing some ceremonies, and I think we're going to get into a lot of really cool stuff. But like, what drives your wanderlust?
What drives my wanderlust? I suppose it's curiosity, right? A large curiosity about, I guess, life and the creation of who we are, I suppose.
Okay.
Like, we're very complex beings, and there's a lot to us, and there's a lot of aspects to explore. If you even just focusing on yourself.
What pulled you to Nepal?
I wanted to go learn about Hinduism and Buddhism and the relationship between them, and also the trekking. So I went trekking through the Himalayas, and that's beautiful too. And I had just come out of a long-term relationship, so like a 7-year relationship. So just a soul searching, take time for yourself and clear. So there's a lot to that trip. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I found something. There's things shifted for sure. Yeah.
Okay. So no pun intended. Walk me through your Nepal trip. What types of things did you do? What does a 5-week trek in Nepal even look like?
I didn't go with a big plan, but I knew I was going to trek for a little while, like at least a couple of weeks. So I arrived there, and then I found Kathmandu, yeah. And then I went to this little place called Bhaktapur, which is very rich spiritually, and where I had heard it was rich spiritually. So I went there, and it has some of the biggest temples in Nepal. And when I was there, I met this Buddhist monk, and he was like just an incredible artist. So he took me to his shop, and I spent like probably $3,000 on art. But these mandalas and the art that they create, once you're a Buddhist monk, you have a really profound understanding. So they take that and they create art with it. All the symbolism gets consolidated into these beautiful pieces that take some of these monks up to a year to make. And so I went to his shop, and there was just like a whole bunch of monks just lined up there, and they just sit there all day making this art. But for us, we can buy these pieces of art for like something. I think they were like $1,000 each, maybe, for me. But it takes them a year to make one of these pieces.
Sounds like
but that's good money for them though, and because their average income is very low.
Well, I mean, as a monk, you just inherently don't have a lot of need for personal wealth, right?
I guess so, but they make these pieces, and that's what attracted me. And then I found out that he was a guide. He was also a guide, so he ended up taking me through the Himalayas. I went one-on-one with this guide that had sold me the art, and he just like was my guide and taught me all about Buddhism and Hinduism. And so I kind of got that through this relationship.
I know it's a big question, but like if you had to like describe Buddhism in a couple of sentences, how would you describe it?
How would I describe it? I mean, it's really a path of non-detachment and trying to stay really centered in joy, right? So Buddhists are very joyful people. So you're really not calling in, you're bringing yourself to a state where you're always emanating joy and you're not indulging anything outside of joy. So even thinking, like you don't indulge thoughts that are negative. You just don't go there. It's mental discipline as well, right? So I mean, this guy, I learned a lot. He was like the happiest man in the world. He said, happy life every day. That's all he ever said, really. He's just like, happy life, beautiful day, every day. So it's just not, you're never indulging problems and like making up problems for your life.
Yeah. And then how about when it comes to Hinduism? I didn't even really ever consider that they were interconnected anyway.
They're not necessarily interconnected, but just in Nepal, it's one of the few places where there's no conflict. Like a lot of like religious practices, there's conflict between them because there's different beliefs. But yeah, in Nepal, apparently there's a lot of harmony between these two different philosophies and practices. And yeah, I don't know. I don't know a lot about it, but that's how it was explained to me. And I felt it. More so you feel it. So just being there, you can feel the peacefulness of the people.
Would you
right?
consider yourself a Buddhist now?
No, not really. Not necessarily. I like the practices. I like the meditations. So I adopted a lot of the meditations that worked for me. So I went and spent some time after trekking for a few months. I went and spent some time in an ashram. There's a teacher that's really well known in Nepal named Osho. So he's very well celebrated. And I went to spend some time in an ashram just doing meditation and learning. There's hundreds of different meditations, particularly like 112 that this guy teaches. So he encourages you to find the one that works for you. Find the few 5 or 10 meditations that resonate with you. And everyone's different. And for this particular trip, it really expanded my awareness of meditation, right? I think a lot of people just think it's sitting down and just sitting in silence and witnessing your thoughts and your body and your emotion and just being a witness to that. That's kind of what most people think, including me. This opened up my horizons about all the different types of meditations.
I mean, that was always my understanding as well. Well, not quite. I mean, my understanding of meditation was just like using some time to not just reflect, but to just calm your mind, to like enter a state where there are no thoughts and just like be there and be present for a little while. That was my understanding of meditation, very basic through like Headspace and Calm app and just doing it my own after that. But what other types of meditation are there? What are the types that you gravitated towards?
A lot of sound and movement. So like in a lot of the meditations, you'll actually move. So dancing, and these are all ways to get out of identification with your thoughts.
So kind of like Tai Chi.
Tai Chi, sure. You could, those are all other formalities. Tai Chi is not exactly meditation. It's more like a physical practice. I don't know a lot to share on it, but sure. I'd say like the basis of it is to not, in the West especially, we put too much importance on thought. So thought is something that's occurring in consciousness. There's a lot of going on in life, in creation. Your body's doing a lot of things. Your mind is thinking things. Your heart is breathing, like beating. Your breath is breathing itself. These are all activities of life. But Westerners have a huge importance that they put on thinking as like to the degree that we identify with that as the essence of who we are. And that's not you. If you do that, then you're kind of limiting yourself in a big way.
Yeah.
Because you're more than your thoughts. So meditation is like you're just not attaching yourself and your identification with the thoughts. They're still happening. They're just not as important as you might think they are.
Wouldn't you, I mean, so would you say, wouldn't you be as a person, you're kind of like the culmination of your thoughts and your actions? And
everything. You're the culmination of it all. And actions and everything that's going on in life. You're a culmination of all of it.
Okay. But isn't
that breathing?
Yeah. That would be an action.
You don't identify with your breathing as who you are, though.
No, you identify with your thoughts and your actions, right? If you think nice things about people, you'd identify yourself as a nice person.
Which is a thought.
Yeah.
So you're still now you're identifying as yourself as a nice person, which is a thought that's happening in your mind.
So I want to get, you've had a long and I would say fairly healthy relationship with hallucinogens, psychedelics. And that has, as you've told me in other conversations that we've had, that's like really altered and affected the type of entrepreneur you are, right? Because I would say you're a fairly successful entrepreneur. You've, built businesses, and you've done a lot of that through your practice of psychedelics. So when I want to bring this full circle and come back to your trip to Nepal, but like, when did you first realize that there was something more to psychedelics than just what you did in high school in your friend's basement?
Well, I actually never did any in high school.
Well, I did. So
yeah, I think most people use them recreationally. They alter your state of consciousness, and I guess the healthy approach is to bring a lot of respect to it. These are plants. A lot of them are just plants, and they have a consciousness to them as well. And when we bring respect to that relationship, we have a very different type of experience. Versus like, I'm using this to have some fun. That's a very different intention. So your intention is like the key to it, and the level of respect and you bring to the relationship.
So you didn't use them. You never used them recreationally. What was your first experience, or how did you get introduced to that world?
Ceremony. Yeah, a friend of mine had me. I was going through a difficult period. I was going through my first breakup with my first. I've had two partners. I was going through my first partnership and I was just kind of looking for answers. And somebody recommended that that you work with these plants, and it helps, and you can learn. So it was about curiosity and learning and growth. And I would sit and just meditate with the help of the plants.
Mm-hmm. What did you learn?
In the early years?
Yeah.
I guess the first insights for me was around the ego, I suppose, right? It's like our construct of who we think we are. So it goes back to thinking and our thoughts and our attachment to it. We have an idea of who we think we are. We all do. I still do. We all do that. That's the ego, right? You have an idea. It's like a package of who you think you are. You're Mike Gore Hickman. And then you have that package, you project it out into the world to convince other people that you're, in fact, the identity that you say you are. Right? Like in this podcast, right? I am, in fact, a business coach and all that stuff. And then other people, and then between us all, I'm trying to convince you that I am, in fact, this package deal that I say I am. And it's all going on in the mind.
Yeah.
And that was my first insights for me. That was the insight. I was like, oh shit, I'm not all that stuff. That's not like my core essence.
Was there like, did you notice like a dissonance between who you thought you were and who you were projecting?
Not necessarily. You don't know. You don't know what other people think you are.
That's true. Yeah.
It's not, and that's not that important. But Westerners spend a lot of energy goes into into what other people think you are. But that's their story. That's their journey, right? If someone thinks I'm this, that's totally their projections. That's their life. They can do whatever they want. That's their judgments.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But it doesn't make it real or true. It's just that's their experience of something that they've now have. They create an ego for you.
Yeah, I get that. And my experience is that psychedelics open up a lot of like empathy gene. Like they really increase the amount of empathy that you have for other people. What was your experience around that?
I'd say that's true because you feel connected to other people. You feel more connected as a whole, so you're going to have more empathy because you're seeing yourself in others more.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That's what I feel anyway.
How did your first foray into this affect you as an entrepreneur in business?
Well, at first it was actually really difficult for a lot of years, actually. I was in a startup company at the time. I was in a startup creating a house detailing company called Shack Shine. And at the time it's a lot of work to create that. So I did have a dissonance because I had to play a role in order to do that. that was not feeling in alignment with where I realized my life was going to be going. So it felt fake. I wasn't able to integrate these two worlds. So now I just speak freely. There's nothing to hide, I'm fully transparent now, and I have no worry about that. But at first I felt like I had to play different roles and be different identities for different parts of my life. So business had to like play this role. Yeah.
But you knew that it was just for like a season or a couple of chapters, and like it was going to get to an end where you could be more like true to who you were.
No, I didn't know anything. It was distressing.
Okay.
You don't know anything. We don't know anything about what's going to happen. So at first it was like, I just feel out of alignment and fake. And yet I have to keep going because I'm in a startup company. I've leveraged. So like, I can't just stop, and I have employees counting on me. So I have to like play this role out. And and there was a lot of dissonance, I suppose.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting because, there's decisions that we make in business and in life that like you can that affect you for a long time, like hiring an employee or starting a business or, all sorts of these things that you just have to make these decisions, and you just have to live with the decisions, like taking out a big line of credit and buying a whole bunch of stuff on it. That's not something that you get to just decide, oh, actually, I don't feel like doing this anymore.
You got to commit. You got to be committed.
Yeah,
so
well, they're not permanent decisions, but they're definitely decisions that are like not flighty.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I think when you're exploring with these medicines, you don't know what is going to happen, and you don't know what new information and insights are going to come into your field. And so if you want to be very focused, like if I'm focused on something, so say I'm focused on growing my painting company.
Yeah. If
I get new insights that are pulling me into new directions, it might not be necessarily focused. It could be a distraction and a risk if I don't want to like test the waters. I want to like stay centered. I don't need new information. Like it's kind of like building a business plan. You want to build it, get it all refined, and then just execute the plan. I don't want to add new strategies halfway through my year if I've got a set strategy. I just want to follow my strategy and execute the plan.
Yeah.
So if medicines, though, if something new comes in, I'm like, this could totally derail you.
It totally could, right? I could see that happening if someone's like into their business and all of a sudden they start, I don't want to like they start practicing with some medicines, they're going to some retreats and come back just like a completely different person.
That could happen, though.
There's a very successful painting contractor who I know in Washington, and he had almost that happen to him. He's running $4 or $5 million a year, over $1 million a year in EBITDA, and he went on a ayahuasca retreat and came back, and he was like, I don't want to do this anymore. I want to go work with like young men and help them with their health. And he's like, this is my calling.
There you go.
Yeah, it's wild what can happen. But
so that's common. That's very common.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So what happened after you got out of Shack Shine? Where did so you eventually started Color Craft?
I sold the company. Yeah, I sold the company. Then I just like went traveling for a while, and I'm a rock climber, so I went traveling and climbing, and just had to regroup.
Yeah.
And then.
And throughout this time, you're still practicing. You're still going to ceremonies. You're still opening your mind.
Yeah, but I have a skill set, which is in the home service industry.
How did you get back into business?
Actually, it was during COVID. During COVID, we were all in lockdown, and I had nothing to do. So I like building shit. I enjoy building stuff, and I have a skill set in home services. I understand it all. So it just felt natural to build. I was entering a new community because I moved up to Squamish, BC for the rock climbing. And also, one thing that's great about home services is you get to actually meet real people. You're not sitting at a computer all the time. Yeah. So I was like entering a new community, at least you can go meet all the homeowners and stuff and have interesting discussions. And this is actually a good thing to share. But over the years, like when I was more fragmented and like I have to be this personality and this, like in my sales, when I used to do sales, when I was still doing more sales for like the company, I would like only talk about painting in a position like how I want to be seen by the customers in a certain way. But today I'll have this kind of a discussion with a client for like an hour at an estimate. They need to do a $20,000 paint job. We'll sit down, we'll talk about yoga, spirituality. There's a shift going on our planet right now. Everyone's aware of it. Some people are more aware of it, but everyone feels that there's something fundamentally changing at some, we don't know where it's going, but the world is changing right now and people are interested in talking about it. Mm-hmm. And so I'll just go and have these incredible discussions. We talk about rapport building as like as a salesperson, you got to build rapport with your customer. Yep. So I'll have like long form discussions on like spiritual stuff at an estimate. And then I'll be like, oh yeah. And yeah, let's book this job too.
Is that like a function of like not caring about the outcome or about like how you're being perceived by the client, or
it's
like
about
what
connection,
shifted?
Authenticity. You're authentic. People connect with authenticity.
So is that just like probably personal development within you that made you realize that like being authentic is better than just being a stiff in sales?
Being authentic is everything. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Being authentic, like even in Nepal in the ashram, like the teacher Osho, he's not alive anymore, but he says it's all about being authentic. Are you authentic in your desires, in what you want? Is that just in the authenticity is very important, because that's what makes us feel whole. It's what makes us feel free. I wouldn't have been able to go on a podcast and just say all this stuff years ago, because what if it like affects my persona in this or whatever, right? You're trying to like, I don't know. Are you free to say what you really want to say and to be who you want to be and to express what's really
I would say most people don't, right? Most people don't say what they want to say and express who they want to be because they feel like they have to fit into a specific box of which they've built for themselves.
It's one of the 5 regrets of the dying. I wish I had said what I wanted to say. 5 like main regrets people have on their deathbeds. That's one of them. Mm-hmm. I wish I had the courage to say what I meant, what I wanted to say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So as you built Colorcraft and like people wouldn't guess this just from our conversation so far, but like you're a very process oriented guy. Like you can build systems like anyone's business, right?
Yeah.
How did you like continue your use of psychedelics, and which psychedelics did you use and how did you use them in building your business?
Well, I don't use them for business. I use them for me, and then
yeah, but it definitely impacts how you. I guess your intention, like you said, is everything, right? So
my intention is not about business.
Gotcha.
With plant medicine, it's my spiritual path. Mm-hmm. It's so that I can become who I am. Business is just a tool. Business is a tool we can use to navigate, just like the ego is a tool we use to have a persona so that we can have, so you can introduce me on this podcast properly.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. So like business is a tool. Ego is a tool. These are all tools we can use to create. And that's the essence of, like, as I understand it, the essence of life is creation. Everything is part of the creation. Mm-hmm. So what are you here to create? What do you want to create? You have to create.
Yeah. I mean, another podcast I was on, actually with Jesse, we were talking about like what motivates humans to, like, entrepreneurs to just grow. Like why does this year have to be bigger than last year, no matter what? Like, even if the business is like cash flowing enough to like keep you and your family comfortable, why do we strive for growth constantly? And I think what you said there kind of nails it, is like we enjoy building. Like with Jess, we framed it as like we like playing the game. Like the game of business is definitely fun, but I think building is huge, right? Why do kids like to build towers out of blocks?
Yeah, we are fundamentally creators. That's what evolution is, right? If you believe in evolution, like, it fundamentally wants to improve and has been doing so for an eternity. It's changing itself, adapting, trying new things. It's that even in the spiritual path, that's the purpose of consciousness, is to absorb infinite perspectives to make a collective universe, which is what we are. Like this, we're in this thing that's so advanced because it's so intelligent, right? Like it's always constantly trying to expand its perspectives. So I think we're if you go into the individual level, like us, we want to know more. We want to learn more. We want to create. We fundamentally have creative energy. Osho, the guy again from Nepal, he says you fundamentally are made out of creative energy. That's what you are.
Mm-hmm. So
So
regardless of if
that's the
you're,
drive. What do you want to create?
if so many people want to create, but then they just get stuck in a job, right? Not even just to the entrepreneurs, but to the people who have jobs, right? You're spending literally a third of your life in a job where you have no opportunity to create.
Yeah, I mean, you're creating, but it's not. Maybe it's not your highest creation, potentially, most
Mm-hmm.
likely, right? Like we're creating right now. Just us expressing is creating and adding energy and
Mm-hmm.
perspective and hopefully beautiful energy,
Yeah.
right? Like
And hopefully like
we're
value.
creating good energy and value.
What are you, actually going back to Nepal? So you went to Nepal for 5 weeks, and then after that you went to Mexico for a little bit. What did you do in Mexico?
Yeah, so you were asking earlier about what plants. So when I started, it was mushrooms for like a couple of years, and then it moved into ayahuasca, um, and then I got more into other medicines like I don't know if the audience will know these medicines, but like wachuma and peyote. So peyote is a plant I've been working with more now, like the last few years, and it's a very specific style of ceremony. So for me, a lot of my journey is now becoming into my voice and learning to sing and to pray through song. And there's peyote, the style of ceremony is that way. You go. So we were out in the desert in Mexico, and with the indigenous, and it's the style of the ceremony. There's a fire, and then there's a drum, and there's song, and you actually go around the circle throughout the night. So it goes all night. So like say 10 p.m. until like 11 a.m. and you sing and then pray. But they're like very
And the beat,
specific types of prayer. Yeah,
the beat just goes all night.
yeah, all night. Well, I
Mm-hmm.
mean, there's periods of silence, but like it'll do laps, and I don't know. You're
Yeah.
learning how to pray through song, and it's a
Okay.
lot of fun and it's beautiful, and that's why I enjoy it. Yeah.
Other than just like the fun at the time, because it does sound pretty fun. What else do you like? How do you feel afterwards? Like, what do you get out of it that lasts?
Connection. You feel connected to. I mean, very holistically, but it's the connection to the fire, connection to the earth, connection to the water that moves through your body,
Mm-hmm.
connection to your breath. It's connection. Everything comes down to me. It's about that developing your connection to something deeper about life, about where you come from, who we are,
Mm-hmm.
because we're more than our identity that we think that we are. We're more than our egos. So it's not about hating the ego. It's about realizing that there's something deeper to us.
How does this practice emerge in your business? Because you don't do it for the business purpose. Business is the tool, but like, um, how does it appear in business? Like, what are you doing now in business as a result of what you've learned through ceremony?
Honestly, I think it's just being more joyful as I build businesses. It's not so maybe like you said, it's about getting out of the outcome orientation. Are you enjoying the process of creating your business? We're not trying to get into business to get out of business. If you're an entrepreneur, it's because you like the activity of creating businesses,
Mm-hmm.
and you like the activity of being an investor. If it's, I think that, so if it comes back to presence, if you haven't realized the joy of life today, then you're never going to realize it if you think it's tomorrow. So like, that's the biggest thing, is that gives you the time. You have a lot of time to create. Like, we're very young guys, both of us right now, even. I'm not planning on retiring. I will get, like, you can get to a place where financially you don't need to work, but you don't want to get out of retirement. Implies that you want to get out. It's kind of a strange concept. Why get in if you want to try and get out later?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I want to be in business to create for the foreseeable next 50 years, right? Like,
Yeah, you want to create, you want to provide, you want to like create value for the economy and your community.
yeah.
And I guess just
And
the
express yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're doing right now. We're expressing ourselves. You're expressing yourself through your business with your podcast.
Yeah. Yeah, which
Yeah.
I'm grateful for the opportunity to have.
Yeah.
I guess what shifts as you quote unquote, grow up and get into different stages of your entrepreneurial journey is just the type of input that you want to have. Like as you get into your 40s and 50s, you might not want to be in that stage of grinding 50 hours a week, right? Maybe you want to find higher leverage ways to input your creative energy into businesses.
Totally. Yeah. That's extreme for sure what you'll do.
Yeah.
Right. You're not
How
going
do
to
you
go paint a
recommend?
house.
No. You might book a job, right? But you might be more creative over how you get that job produced. I mean, we have a lot of, I would like to say, older gentlemen who have been painting for a lot of years come to us and they're like, I've been doing it the same way for 30 years and I just can't paint another house, right? My body's broken. I can bring on painters, but they always quit, all these staffing problems. Like, how do I grow this business so that I don't need to be the one on the tools, right? I can have reliable staff and I can just go talk to customers a couple times a day. So yeah, it's definitely, you have to, but hopefully people are able to see ahead a little bit and get to that point before they need to be there.
For sure. And you're free to change your whole thing. That's so much coming back to like spirituality or like all this work, you're free. We're free. All of us, we're completely free. The only thing that's preventing you from your freedom is your own thoughts and addiction to your thoughts and commitment to your thoughts. That's what limiting beliefs are all about. I believe this and it's true. You believe your beliefs are true.
Yep.
And you're actually free. You don't want to paint another house? Just never paint another house.
You need to be creative because sometimes another belief that you have is that you want to make sure your kids have food. So
yeah,
there are some things that do, if we're going on this like freedom path, like things that make us less free are some of the obligations that we have. And I feel like a lot of people just get swamped or overwhelmed by their obligations and don't see a way out.
For sure. And there's degrees of that, but a lot of us have you could probably, if I had us all sit down and write out a list of our obligations, probably half the list is not truly obligations. We've made them obligations by our own creation. So am I obligated to go to I like fitness. I'm not obligated to go to the gym. I could just not go to the gym anymore and I could be a big fat guy, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing I'm the one making the standard that I have to be fit. I made that up.
Yeah.
And marketing makes that up because the world tells you should be fit in this stuff.
Also, like quality of life as you get older, that as you get older, your body's going to degrade. So you want to be healthy going into those later years.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's a big reason too. But I think the main one is real for me and for a lot of people is like, my kids got to eat. I have to eat. I have to pay my bills. And for a lot of people, like the only way they know how to do that is by finishing that job, right? Hiring a painter is going to take a big chunk of my profit margin. And after I pay that painter, even though it's going to be easier for me, I'm not going to have enough left over to pay my bills and feed my family.
Sure. Yeah. And those are true things. I mean, none of this is easy. It's like, it doesn't even matter, even if whether you stay that path or even if you choose to go down the path of ceremony and psychedelics, it doesn't make it easy. You just have different life challenges. Like there's different challenges to overcome.
Yeah.
Right.
I think the main thing is that like all challenges are overcomable, right? But I think the first thing you need to do is get clear on what challenge you're trying to solve and just pick one at a time to solve.
Yeah. I mean, you can solve the challenge of trying to be you don't want to paint that next house, but you got to paint that next house. That's a challenge. Or you can go down the path of the challenge of, I don't want to paint that house, so I have to expand my horizons, open up my creativity, connect to what I really want, and then work really hard. That's a challenge too.
Yeah. And it might not be that house that you get out of, but if you start now and start building the systems and all that, maybe in 5 houses from now, maybe you don't have to paint that one.
Yeah, that's why I like systems. That's why you said I'm a systems guy. That's why I like them. Yeah, that's the reason. Like,
well, like you're a big like proponent of freedom, right? And people might think systems feel like the opposite of that. Free systems feel like, oh, you're doing something that's so rigid and step by step, and it's like not the same ethos as someone who's just like wild and free and, you know, traveling the world. But you've used systems to actually free you.
Yeah, and it goes back to your relation. Each of us has a relationship to the word freedom, right? So freedom through systems or freedom through chaos. Like both have a different type of tone. Both are correct in their own way, depending on how you relate to it. But yes, I choose, for the most part, what has served me is freedom through systems.
Mm-hmm. I mean, also that allows you to operate businesses from afar, generate cash flow, so you don't need to worry about money, so that you can focus on your spirituality and not worry about where you're sleeping at night, because you can, I mean, you can go on a 5-week trek around the world and not worry about how much it costs because you have the systems in your business.
That's right. Yeah.
So you did the hard work first.
Yeah, and ideally you want to be in a position where you enjoy creating systems. So if you're not a systems creator, maybe partner with someone who is.
Or learn.
Or learn.
Muscle,
but again,
right?
I do think we should be engaging in things that are aligned with our gifts and the things that bring us joy. Like we should enjoy our work, ideally, to a degree. Mm-hmm. Ideally fully, because you've aligned yourself with who you are, and you know what your gifts are, and you know what brings you joy, so that you can actually become process oriented, right? Outcome oriented is when you're more focused on the outcome than you are on the actual creation cycle or the creation process. Mm-hmm. So luckily I don't mind creating systems. I think it's kind of fun, right?
Any systems that you can think about in your business that you struggled with? It was like something that was really hard for you to delegate?
Something that's been really hard to delegate. Maybe sales. I've done it, but finding really good salespeople has been one of the more difficult ones. Paintings I find is easy to delegate. There's just a lot of professional painters. So for this, I'm referring to specifically the painting business, because that's what's relevant for this podcast. Yeah. But if you are good at sales and you have good systems for sales, and you can you can onboard good salespeople, you can sell high enough. You can you can become one of the higher bidding painting companies, in which case you can just hire professional painters. They're all over the place. Mm-hmm. So you just pay the best and you'll get great painters, or great subcontracting teams, because you just pay a lot because you have a good sale. Yeah. You have a lot of sales. Well, you have the most high sales as well.
What's like the next step for you on your entrepreneurial journey now that you're back and you're working hard? Like what is the next thing that you're building?
Right now, a partner and I, we started something called the BC Home Improvement Club. So it is a membership site for homeowners in British Columbia to save money on home improvement. And yeah, essentially we're more like, a lot of people have heard of Home Stars or those types of companies. And the way they work is essentially a client needs something done. They go to their site and they're like, I need this industry's service. So I need painting, or I need roofing. And then that site, Home Stars, will take the lead and just give it to everybody. They'll just sell it like 50 times to a local contractor.
Anyone who signs up.
Anyone who wants the lead just gets the lead. So the problem with that company that I don't really think is the best, it's not customer centric. For one, you're not vetting the contractors, and you're not only giving your customers, you're not connecting them with the best contractors in that city. You're just connecting them with everyone. And then you're not protecting the contractors either, because now you have all these contractors fighting over one lead. So what we're doing is an exclusive system. So how we protect the client is the client will connect them with a couple of the best vendors. So that's actually what I'm doing right now, is sourcing some of the best vendors for all the different industries. There's like 20 core industries: roofing, plumbing, window cleaners. So just having exclusive relationships with one or two of them for each city, and all the leads go directly to that person. Then the actual homeowners, the way that it works for them is that if they buy a membership with us, they get discounts with these couple of core vendors. So you buy a membership. So if you're doing a $10,000 paint job, our memberships are $300 for the year. And if you get into 10% discount with a painting company or 8% discount, you'll save $800 off a $300 membership. And so your ROI is immediate. So you save money and you get connected with only top contractors, actually. So we're protecting the client's interests in that way. And then same with the actual contractors, we're giving them exclusive leads. And the way that I design the actual package with my contractors and the vendors is to keep the entire expense under their marketing expense. So a lot of the times I find these companies like Homestars, they don't care about your business model. They don't know anything about your business model. But we know, like for instance, in painting, your average marketing expense is perhaps what, 7% on average, I'd say, for like a growing company.
Yeah, between 5 and 10, yeah.
Yep. So the way I would design that with my vendor, I'd go to so if it's a painting company, the way I design it is I have to consider them as one of my partners and protect their margin. And that's what being a good partner is all about, is creating genuine win-win relationships. So I would take a cost, say their margin 7%, or let's say 8%. I'd pre-negotiate a discount with that vendor. They will offer a 5% discount to our members. And then I'll lock in a 3% cost of marketing. So if I and we know that, and I'll ask them their sales ratio, I'll get their average job size, and I'll actually pre-negotiate it and write it all into a contract. Mm-hmm. So if your average job size is what, let's say $8,000 or so, 3% of that, I take that, figure out what that number is, and divide it by your current sales ratio, so that I can figure out the exact cost that you can afford to get an estimate, to ensure that your margin remains under 3%. And then when our vendor or our members, if they choose to book with you, then they honor a discount at 5%, locking in their total marketing expense to keep them on budget. So that protects, it reduces the risk. It reduces the risk. So if you're a contractor with us, we've reduced your risk. You're only going to pay 8% total on lead and membership discount if you get a job. Yep. Homeowners have no cost, and then they only have to buy a membership when it's time that they want to book the job, and they get an instant ROI. So we've protected and lowered the risk for our actual homeowners. And what we've done in the meantime is we've taken this discount and we've transferred the savings from the contractor over to the homeowners in British Columbia. So everyone's winning, and meanwhile we're on the back end creating a membership site, and we make money on memberships. So it's win-win-win. And so that's how I paint the picture when I'm enrolling new contractors. And that's what drives me nuts about like a lot of these companies. They don't protect or give a shit or really even look into how to actually structure win-win deals.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Angie's List has like a class action lawsuit against them for selling contractors bad leads, for the short of it. But yeah, not good.
Because they make money on leads. So their whole revenue stream is leads. So we have two revenue streams. One is leads, but we just need the revenue to pay our marketing expenses. But we're actually a membership site. So of course it's in their best interest to get the lead and then sell it 10 times, 20 times, 30 times.
It's like Costco, right? Costco's a membership organization.
Yeah, but why does Costco work? Costco works because they reduce the risk. You buy this $80 membership, and on your first shopping spree, you immediately make your money back on savings.
Yeah.
No risk.
Something like, I'm just looking it up, 72% of Costco's profits is from membership fees.
That's right. Yeah.
Insane.
Yeah.
So what's your vision for
you can think of this like the Costco of home improvement.
Yeah, I mean it's a logical purchase, and I mean in order to grow, your purchases have to be, what you're selling has to be a logical decision, right?
Yeah.
What's your goal for this company? Like, where do you guys envision this thing in like 3 years?
I don't know if we've fully made that structure yet. Like, we haven't really sat down but essentially you build out cities. So the first city we're developing is Greater Vancouver. So we've got about 20 partners so far. I'm going to try and get it to about 40 total, which is, a few vendors for each core category. So I'm just networking. I went to the BC Home Show recently, and I'm just networking with some of the best contractors in the cities, and creating partnerships. So exclusive partnerships. So once we develop a city, you get a membership base. So 5,000 members is basically a $1 million recurring revenue membership model. And you're a lead distribution system that helps homeowners get discounts as well. So that's the vision. Once you have one city, then you just go to another city and launch the next city.
Yeah. And find the partners and sell the memberships.
So if I'm still doing it, which I may or may not, so again, you go back to systems, part of my process, because it seems that I have trended into the vendor relationship manager. That's the role that I seem to have fallen into as a startup company. But I'm also documenting my process as I go right now, which will be built into an SOP so that when we recruit the vendor relationship manager, here's how you do this job step by step. And that's what a good SOP is all about.
Yeah, because like while you're still figuring things out, you're not really doing anything that is like inherently unique to you, right?
Not really.
Like you can create a criteria for what type of relationship is best and how to structure the deals.
How do you structure the deals, which is a calculation.
Mm-hmm.
So like when I've done, like for instance, I've done maybe 15 vendor relationships discovery calls, and I've booked 12 out of 15 so far.
Yeah.
Because all I do is sit down on a call with you and I just structure a win-win deal and I just do the numbers with them. You know what I mean? Like I was just doing with you a second ago. What's your average job size? What's your current marketing expense? Okay, let's do a 5%, this percentage membership. What's your lead cost? We're going to secure that, divide it by your sales ratio. This is the total cost. And also, if I send them junk leads, I won't charge them.
Mm-hmm. They have to book the job, right?
The sales is out of my control. I need to get them qualified estimates.
Yeah.
I can't control this. I can give advice, but I'm not in control of a sales process. I can't take accountability for someone's bookings because that's outside of my scope.
Yeah, I get that.
But I can give them qualified estimates.
For sure. If someone's paying a membership to be part of this club and they're requesting a quote, they're probably pretty serious.
Ideally, yeah. And as you become a member, you're going to have a lot more seriousness when you request quotes.
Yeah, maybe the next step is like providing some training for your contractors to like help them with a good sales process.
Totally. I mean, easily that could be a thing. Just like coach. There's a lot of them out there, but like that's an industry too. Coaching your contractors. But we're client facing, right? We're for the customers is the brand. The BC Home Improvement Club, your trusted brand to get sourced to actually reputable contractors.
Yeah. That's awesome, man. I'm stoked to see where you guys bring that thing. So for to kind of bring this full circle, like if there's someone who's listening in that's just like, man, I'm super interested about like experimenting with some psychedelics, like how can someone get started without going to Nepal?
Well, I didn't do psychedelics in Nepal.
Yeah. Okay.
How would they get started?
How can someone get started? Like, is there something they can look up? Are there like some local ceremonies that people can go to around their cities? Or I know it's not just like an organized thing, but how can someone even get involved in this like culture?
That's a great question. I actually don't have an answer because I think you have to follow your curiosity and you'll meet the right people in your journey. There is it's not like a Tim Hortons where you there's a Tim Hortons in your city with a good system and all that stuff. This is spirituality is not a system in that way. Like I think about business. I don't think about these two categories in my life in the same way. Yeah. But that's a good question.
Maybe check some like Reddit threads and
I don't even know.
Message boards.
I guess it would depend what plants, but maybe do a little bit of research on those plants and I don't know. Honestly, I think our journeys take us where we're meant to be, and not everyone is even meant to do psychedelics. You'll know that you're called. Like when it was time for me to go to Peru, I knew it was just like I'm actually being called there. Mm-hmm. It wasn't me deciding I'm going to go do this now. It was like I have to go now.
Yeah, it's out of my control.
It was a calling. Yeah. So you'll know if you're being called, and if you are being called, the right people will show up is how I would actually, you'll meet the right people. Yeah.
Love it, man. Again, time flies by when we chat.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks for the convo today, man. I know we've been trying to get this on the books for a couple of weeks, so I'm glad that we made it happen. And yeah, dude, stoked to see what you do in business, man.
Yeah. Yeah, there's I'm in a build phase right now, so I've definitely I'm feeling that, just like building phase. And I
Yeah.
want
You
to, and
need, you
I
need
feel the
both.
pressure of like building before summer hits, like.
Mhm.
So I'll just be
You
like
feel
locked
like
in.
I call it the entrepreneur's curse.
Yeah, I'm
I don't know.
feeling that.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if you ever feel that, but like the constant state of like drive and dissatisfaction with the current affairs, current business. Like it's not big enough. It's not. I don't have enough customers. Like, well, I'm not making enough profit. Like I call that the entrepreneur's curse.
Yep. Yeah, I know that one.
Yeah.
I'm feeling that, especially when it's startup. Everything sucks. Everything's
Yeah.
like so shitty, and then you're like, now and we need this now, and then you got to build that now.
Yeah.
So
You got to do everything, and you got no money to do it with.
that's right. Unless you have another business to help you cash flow.
Exactly. No cash flow from the new business yet, but you're investing in it. But it will cash flow soon. I'm very sure.
Yeah, I'm on the outflow with this business right now.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
sick, man. Well, again, thanks again, Brad, and we'll be in touch again soon, brother.
Yeah, man. So good to talk to you. Cheers.
Thanks for listening to the Painter Growth Podcast. If you want to grow your painting business, go to www.paintergrowth.com or click on the top link in the description. Talk soon.